Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC review, and in this DC review I'll be covering The Flash issue 798 and also Shazam issue 1 by Mark Waid. I'll now get things prepared for the first one that I'll be covering, and we can make a start on the story and its rating. So, jumping into first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story in The Flash? And sure enough it does, to which we do have the characters involved, and of course the birth of Waid in The Flash with Wally West, and Mr. Terrific as well on the job with us. So for the rating of the cover, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal art, which we'll have a look around the beginning, middle, and of course the end, and some of the things that are happening story-wise. So as we start to jump into the beginning of the story, we get to see the members of the West family celebrate the birth of their new brother, and of course their new son. As we start to jump towards the middle of the story, we learn that the son has been captured, and it's now time for Wally West to get the help of Mr. Terrific. And we also can see Owlman playing his role in this story too. And last but not least, towards the end, to which we catch up with that multiverse wrestler. So for the internal art, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the area of the rating of the story. So first things first, do we get any comic references? No, we don't. Now, do we get anything in the next category, and that is the area of time, to which we have 1 hour being used. The location we got to see was the hospital and also Mr. Terrific's headquarters. Last but not least, the cast of characters consisting of the Wally West family. We had Mr. Terrific, we had Owlman, we had Gold Beetle, and last but not least, Plastic Man. For the overall story rating in this, I give a 7.5 out of 10. Really enjoying this, but no doubt I am going to miss Jeremy Adams when he leaves the title, and I'll have to find out how things go when he moves into the other titles that he's going into. It's now time to move into Shazam issue 1 by Mark Waid. So, as we jump into Shazam issue 1, we now jump directly into the rating for the covers. So, as you can see here before you, there are 2 covers. I did want to try to get a hold of another cover, but my LCS didn't happen to have it on shelf, nor did they get it in. I know which one I wanted to get, and it was the Samney one. But who knows, maybe I might be able to get it later on in the series, or maybe I'll get to see it when I get the trade. But no doubt I did enjoy it. So first things first, do these covers in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, to which for the first one I give an 8.5 out of 10. And for the one on the right hand side, I give a big 9 out of 10, as it is a fantastic cover. So now it's time to move into the internal arts, which we'll have around the beginning, middle, and of course the end. And I'll probably use the variant cover for that, as well as seeing some of the things that are happening story-wise. So the story begins with Billy Batson dealing with an alien dinosaur, which is really clever. And we do get to see quite a bit happening here. I'll now jump towards the middle of the story. as we get to see some of the art there. So as we start to jump towards the middle of the story, and of course we are in Philly or Philadelphia with Billy Batson and his family, and of course we get to see some of the negative repercussions in relation to sort of like the Shazam power in his personal life. Like, don't get me wrong, there are actually some good elements brought up in this. I definitely enjoy the art. So basically, he's bringing up the points that he can't be in his Shazam form whilst doing stuff in relation to his schoolwork. So in that, it would sort of like be a form of cheating. And I do like that aspect. I think that's really good that Mark Waid's brought that across. And I don't know if anyone else has sort of like brought up this point too, but yes, if he was in the Shazam form whilst attending school, he'd have quite a bit of knowledge and wisdom, which of course would probably solve certain answers, whatever else. But whilst he's not in that Shazam form, he doesn't have access to it. And in other words, there are things that he needs to learn by himself. And credit where it's due. So as the story starts to reach an end, or we start to move towards the end of the story, we notice that there's a bit of a feedback of sorts, which seems to carry over from the last events, but it would have been nice if the comic reference to the previous events were applied into this story, because it would make a little bit more sense as to why the character is acting the way he's acting. So it's almost feels like, okay, we have teenage Billy Batson trying to do what he needs to do, and then there seems to be a conflict between the Billy Batson in his Shazam form, or the Captain form. And it's almost like we're getting messages between one thing to another, and it's reflecting in what is happening in this particular moment. In other words, he feels unappreciated for all the work he does, but you can sort of see, is that him speaking or is that something else speaking? So for the internal art, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Absolutely enjoyed the art. Now it's time to move into the area of the story rating. So first things first, what do we get in the area of time? So this is the beginning of a new series. If there had been any comic references, say maybe to something to which he recently appeared in, which also might make a little bit more sense as to why the character was sort of like acting that way at the end, it would incur probably some bonus points. So in the area of time, we got yesterday and also a couple of hours ago. In the area of location, we had the Rock of Eternity and Philly or Philadelphia. The cast of characters consisting of Billy Batson, Freddie Freeman, Mary Marvel, and Talkie Tawny. For the overall story rating in this, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.